على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. Surah Al-Baqarah, the second surah of the Quran, is called Surah Al-Baqarah, meaning the surah of the cow, for a specific reason. In this surah there is a story about, well, a cow. But it wasn't an ordinary cow. It was a cow that became a reason for a big controversy and a big issue. What had happened was that Bani Israel, specifically the followers of Musa alayhi salam, the people of Musa alayhi salam, found a dead body in one of their neighborhoods. And the person had been killed. And they were trying to figure out who the murderer was. So they did whatever investigations they could. They could not come up with any solutions, any ideas. So after reaching a dead end, they came to Musa alayhi salam. And they said, look, we have this dead body, it's a relative of ours, we need to find out who killed him. So ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to tell us of the identity, or give us some way of finding out the identity of this person. So Musa alayhi salam made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, sometimes the solution that comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not conventional. It's not what would come to your mind. It's not what you would expect. And it often does not rely on any of the rules or the principles that you and I know. The physical rules of the physical universe. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's rules are not based on those. So Musa alayhi salam got a very interesting instruction from Allah, and that was that tell these people to slaughter a cow. And once they've slaughtered the cow, they need to take a piece of flesh from this cow and touch it to the dead body of this person who's been killed. When you do that, that body will speak out and tell you who killed him. Now that seemed very bizarre to those people. They said, what are you talking about? What does a cow have to do with a human being? And then a dead cow and a dead human being. And a dead cow is going to make a dead human being speak? None of this makes any sense. But the fact was that this was a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that are they going to do what the Prophet is telling them from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or are they going to start thinking and trying to figure it all out by themselves? And often we as human beings fall into the trap of trying to figure it out, figuring it out all by ourselves, because we, in our minds, we have all the solutions and there must be a logical explanation to it. So when he told them to slaughter a cow and do this simple act, and they could have slaughtered any cow, they started raising a controversy about it. Well, if this cow is going to bring someone alive, it can't be a normal cow, it must be some really special kind of cow. So they went back to Musa alayhi salam and said, ask Allah what type of cow it is. We need to know specifics. Even though there were no specifics at that time. But when they started asking for specifics, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala started giving them more and more details. So the first details were that, tell them, La faridun wa la bikr. Can't be really, really old and ready to die, and it can't be a very young one. It's got to be kind of middle-aged. It's got to be a middle-aged cow. So now the search narrows. They're looking at middle-aged cows. But they're saying, you know what, there's lots of those. So we need more details. We need more details. Okay. So details started coming. Tell us the color. Now it could have been any cow. It could have been a black cow, a white cow, a black and white cow. It didn't really matter. But when they started asking these types of complicated questions, then difficult answers were given. Tell them to slaughter a yellow cow. And you know what? It's got to be dark and bright yellow, and it can't have any other colors on it, just completely yellow. Now that made it very challenging, very difficult. But even then, they managed to dig out a few yellow cows. So they said, well, we've got a couple here, tell us exactly which one we need to slaughter. So then the details started coming. It's got to be a cow that has never worked before, completely unemployed. It's never been used to till the fields. It's never been used to pull water for irrigation purposes. لا ذلول تثير الأرض ولا تسقي الحرث مسلمة لا شية فيها. It's got to be all one color and no spots on it. It's got to be a cow that's dark yellow, bright yellow, and no spots on it. And it's never tilled the fields, it's never irrigated, and it's not too old and it's not too young. And they say, okay, enough. That's enough details. We'll slaughter it now. So this was the interesting story. They did end up slaughtering it, and they did take a piece of the flesh of the cow and touch it to the person's body, and the person did speak out and tell them who killed him, and the issue was resolved, but not after this huge ordeal, the ordeal about the cow, because of which this surah is named. So sometimes the answer, even in our deen, is simpler than we think it is. But it's not always going to make sense to us. It's not always going to be logical. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is above the laws of this universe. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can't be restricted to those laws. So we might think that, well, that doesn't seem logical and that doesn't seem possible. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is above all the limits of logic and all the limits of possibilities that you and I can come up with. So that's a quick insight as to why Surah Al-Baqarah is called Al-Baqarah, and there's some lessons to be learned there. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to take lessons from His book. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه